a recent BMJ article was published just a few weeks ago, and it was predicted that about 1,000 GPs are going to be unemployed by the end of this year. And that is a huge number. And the question is, why exactly should that large number of GPs be without employment in the NHS? I'm like, is it that the NHS has more than enough GPs that there has to be that excess? Or is it that more than enough are being trained such that there is an excess than what is needed? And I wouldn't think this is the situation, because a lot of people still talk about how it has become so difficult to get GP appointments. And we are talking about NHS waiting list and a whole lot. And so I wouldn't think that the NHS is saturated with doctors. I wouldn't want to believe that we have more than enough doctors in the NHS. So if that is not the situation, then what exactly is the reason for all of this? Because we have heard of stories of, GPs after being qualified couldn't get a job and had to resort to taking odd jobs in order to provide for their family and in order to make ends meet. And for some persons, they have been left with either this option of taking up these odd jobs or to actually seek for greener pastures in some other country. And what option do you think these guys would go for? Probably, yes, it's easier to actually go work as a doctor in another country. And that is why we see an increasing number of doctors leaving the country. I tried to get a statistics of the actual number of doctors that has left the UK in 2025 or between late 2024 and 2025. And I couldn't get an exact data. But I guess before the end of the year, we should have that figure. And I'm sure that figure would have probably increased compared to what it used to be. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the current realities of things. I'm also going to be talking about some of the possible reasons why this is happening and the impact of this on the society at large. And even on these doctors. So let's get right into this video today. Hello, my name is Blessing and I'm a doctor currently practicing here in the UK. Here on this channel, I talk about medicine. I talk about my journey as a doctor here in the NHS. And so feel free to actually join the community and let's get right into this video today. Okay, so to start with, this trend is not just affecting the GPs. We have also seen that it's affecting various cadres of doctors, especially junior doctors. And there has been a lot of outcry about it in recent times on the media. And if you go on any social media platforms, I'm sure you probably stumble on a video where maybe a doctor is talking about their plans to leave, the NHS. I've actually seen various videos where doctors are talking about how they are relocating to Australia, how they are moving to the Gulf country, what is life like in the Gulf countries, and a whole lot of that. I think the first reason is limited job opportunities. Now, I have talked about this extensively in one of my videos, and I'm going to be leaving the link up here so that you can actually watch it just to have an idea of what I actually talked about in that video as the causes of the limited job opportunities for doctors here in the UK. And because I wouldn't want to delve, much more deeper into the issue of limited job opportunities in this video, but I think it's important to actually say that it is one of the most important or major reasons why a lot of doctors are leaving the UK. A lot of things are responsible for the limited job opportunities, and I feel these are some of the things that actually need to be addressed in order for this trend to be curtailed. Now, the next point that I also want to talk about in this video is poor pay. Now, I know a lot of persons have raised concerns about why should doctors go on strike. Doctors are well paid. What exactly is going on with these doctors? And a whole lot of reaction from social media. But the question of whether doctors are well paid or not well paid is not something I'm going to be discussing in this video today. But then if we want to talk about it, when we consider how much doctors are paid in some other countries, the US, Canada, Australia, and then comparing it to what doctors are paid in the UK, despite the high cost of living, despite the high or heavy taxation, then I think we have the answer right there. In terms of pay, I think it's something that is very, very, very important, because if doctors are feeling like they are not being paid enough for the job that they do or for the services they are rendering, I think it should not be ignored. I would also want to refer to a BMA research that was done in London recently, and it said about 32,000 doctors shifts were unfilled. And why? Because the rate that is being offered for this shift was so low that those doctors found it very unattractive. And the implication of this is that if these doctors do not pick up this job, is only going to end up giving more jobs or leaving more job for the doctors who are available to do the jobs. Now, that takes me to the next point, which is excessive workload. Some doctors have actually come out to talk about how they have been struggling with excessive workload, the poor work-life balance in the NHS. And for some persons, they have actually considered this as the reason why they are leaving the NHS, because they feel like they deserve to be in some other systems where they can have a better work-life balance. And the issue of excessive workload, we know that the NHS is a very busy system. Are there things that could be done in order to mitigate this excessive workload, in order to control how much work doctors have to do? I think just imagine, like in the BMA research I just talked about now, if there's a ward where there's supposed to be like 5 doctors and then only 3 doctors are available, and they put out 2 of those shifts out for locum and those shifts are not picked, the implication is that those 3 doctors will actually have to do the job that is meant for 5 doctors. That can actually impact on them as individuals. I've actually heard some people talk about how much they work, how much some doctors have actually come to talk about the excessive workload in some NHS facilities. And for some people, it's actually crazy and unbearable. And for some persons, the reason they have to deal with all of this is because they still need to be able to remain in that job in order to earn a living or to remain in the country. And that is sad. Another reason why doctors are leaving the system is because of some of the recent issues around political instability, the change in policies, especially for the IMG doctors. For some persons, they came in here and they have completed their jobs and they need sponsorship in order to remain in the country. Now, the implication of not getting a job that can offer sponsorship is that they will have to leave the country. And if they really consider it seriously, why leave the country when I have the expertise to actually work in another country? And so it's easier for these doctors to consider going to some other countries if they are not finding jobs that can offer them the opportunity to be able to stay in the UK. And for some persons, it's just that the recent issues around the old change in policies is impacting on people significantly, and it's beginning to look like, the UK is not a place where you can actually make a long-term plan as an IMG. And people have considered other options, and they're probably considering going to countries that might be able to offer them that stability that they need. And so these are some of the issues on ground. These are some of the reasons. I'm sure that there are probably some other reasons that I might have missed out or decide not to talk about, like non-doctors taking up doctors' roles. The implication of this is that it further reduces the job opportunities available to doctors, and at the end of the day worsens the whole unemployment crisis. Going over to the impact of this trend on the society and even on the doctors. Number one is the fact that when doctors leave, it's not just the individual that leaves the country or that leaves the NHS. Their skill, their expertise that they have acquired during the course of their training and during the years that they have worked with the NHS, all of that is going to be lost with that person leaving the system. Yes, I know it's possible to replace them. Yes, and other doctors might be, but sometimes it might actually take some time to be able to replace that skill, that expertise that have actually left the system. Or it might even cost some more resources to be able to train another person to fill in that role. Now, the other thing is, it's beginning to look like the UK is training doctors for other countries. The country's resources is invested into training these doctors, and at the end of their training, they don't have a job. When they're supposed to be giving back to the system, they can't secure a job, and so they have to transfer that service to another country to offer it to a country that did not invest in their training. And another thing that I feel is the fact that this, like I have said before, could actually have significant impact on the doctors and also on patient care. Because if a doctor is working excessively or doing more than he should be doing, it could actually impact on patient's care. And finally, another impact of this on the doctors is the fact that it makes them to lose their trust in the system. Because in previous times, I don't think doctors worry about getting jobs during the course of their training. But now we see a situation where during the course of training, doctors are already thinking of their exit plan because they are not even sure they'll be able to get a job at the end of their training. And I feel like, why the added anxiety of unemployment even as a trainee? And I wouldn't blame them because they have seen some of their predecessors go through all of the challenges of training and then coming out, becoming qualified, and they can't seem to get jobs. They keep losing their trust in the system, and it's like, oh, this system is not able to meet our need. In conclusion, I think that a lot goes into training doctors, and it is just right that these doctors are given the opportunity to be able to give back to the system that invested in them. And so it's just important that this crisis, this unemployment issue, needs to be addressed as soon as possible so that more doctors can be retained in the system. And I understand that no matter what is done, some doctors might still eventually leave. But if most of the doctors that are trained remain in the system, I think that will actually be beneficial to everyone involved, both the doctors and even the patient, because all of these also have some significant economic and financial impact on the nation. And so feel free to actually share your thoughts. What do you think about this whole issue on ground, especially in terms of GPs not being able to get jobs, non-doctors taking up doctors' role, reducing the need for doctors,